Kevin, I'm just wondering, did you see that there was a sideline confrontation that happened between Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy? And I know that that's part of football, that those kind of things do happen. But I'm just wondering, what you not only thought of that, but what do you think is kind of going on with Jerry Jeudy in this season where it's just not going for him the way that he would have expected, or that I guess you guys would have expected?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Mary Kay, football is an emotional sport, and certainly you can, when you're a family like we are, you can have your disagreements. Sometimes they're for everybody to see. Sometimes it's behind closed doors, but like a family, we move on. We talk about it, so not worried about it.
You better buckle up, because what has just gone down in Cleveland is absolutely massive. And if I were to tell you that Myles Garrett, the undisputed face of the Cleveland Browns, a team captain, one of the most respected defensive players in the entire NFL, just went on the record to completely shut down Jerry Jeudy for trying to blame rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders for his own pathetic failures, you better believe every single word of it. This isn't just some minor spat between teammates that's going to get swept under the rug. No, this is the Browns' superstar defensive end making it crystal clear that Jerry Jeudy's behavior towards Shedeur Sanders is completely unacceptable and that the entire locker room is standing firmly behind Shedeur. This one event is about to change the entire dynamic in Cleveland, and trust me, by the time we're done here, you'll understand exactly why Jerry Jeudy's days as a Cleveland Brown might be numbered.
Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy was walking by, and Steve called out to him, and he got a different reaction.
I called out to him because on my podcast, Cut to It, I just talked about guys that maybe have not showed up in a way or in a manner. And so the word that I've used to describe him in the past was a jag, just a guy.
Just a guy.
When I saw him, he's playing well. I wanted to say to him face to face, like, hey, I know I said some things in the past I probably shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. That's what I wanted to say to him. His response, Mike Robb, was ninja.
Ninja?
Yes, I'm using the word ninja. I'm just using the word ninja. I don't mess with you. And it was a curse word. And so I was like, all right, and then he repeated it. So I'll say it again. I'm sorry that I said you were a jag, just a guy who's an average wide receiver that you use a first-round pick on that isn't doing anything. I hope today that you actually show up in a way that you haven't showed up in the last couple of years since they drafted you. So if you ever got a problem with Agent 89, I'm sorry.
Let me break down for you exactly what Myles Garrett said, because when a player of his stature speaks, his words carry more weight than almost anyone else's in the league. Garrett did not mince words when he was asked about the clear friction between Jerry Jeudy and Shedeur Sanders. He stated, and I am quoting him directly here, "If you have nothing good to say, don't say something to somebody." He went on, he said a lot of terrible and rude things about several of our players. I'm just disappointed that he has so much more to give to our squad this year. We support him. Whatever we can do to help him, we will. Now let's unpack why these comments from Myles Garrett are an absolute bombshell. First and foremost, you have to understand that Garrett is not a guy who is known for getting mixed up in drama, especially not on the offensive side of the ball. He's a defensive monster, one of the premier pass rushers in all of football. He has his own unit to lead and his own responsibilities to worry about. The very fact that he felt compelled to speak out publicly about what's happening with the offense and to specifically call out behavior he described as rude and disrespectful tells you just how toxic the situation has become. It is simply not normal for your defensive captain to have to step in and publicly shield your rookie quarterback from the attacks of your high-priced veteran receiver. That, right there, is a 5-alarm fire raging in the locker room. Secondly, pay very close attention to who Garrett specifically said the team backs. He made it undeniably clear that the squad is 100% behind Shedeur Sanders, not Jerry Jeudy, not the receiver with the massive 50. They're backing the rookie quarterback, who has been thrown into an impossible situation and has handled it with more grace and professionalism than anyone could have possibly asked for. With that one statement, Myles Garrett broadcast to the entire football world that when a choice has to be made between Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy, he and the rest of the Browns locker room are choosing Shedeur without a moment's hesitation. And third, Garrett's use of the word disappointed in Jeudy is a massive statement coming from a leader like him. He essentially said that Jeudy has so much more to contribute, which is a thinly veiled way of saying he's not fulfilling his potential or his responsibilities to the team right now. And let me tell you, that's not just some casual critique of Jerry Jeudy's on-field performance. That is a direct shot at his work ethic, his attitude, his professionalism, and his overall commitment to the team. When the best player on your entire roster publicly questions whether you're even giving it your all, it's about as damning a statement as you can get in professional sports. But Garrett wasn't done there. He also made it perfectly clear that the team has made a conscious decision to block out all the outside noise and focus entirely on what is happening on the football field. "I'm trying to keep my guys focused on the game and not worried about things outside of it," he added. "We're focused on what's on the field." That's the voice of true leadership. That's a veteran player recognizing that the drama swirling around Jerry Jeudy's antics could become a massive distraction and actively shutting it down by rallying the entire squad's support behind Shedeur. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of what actually happened to force Myles Garrett to speak out with such force. It all boiled over during the game against the Raiders, a contest the Browns lost in a truly embarrassing fashion. And once again, Jerry Jeudy was right at the heart of the dysfunction. The wild part is that Shedeur, all things considered, actually played a pretty solid game. He was making difficult throws under constant duress, showing the kind of poise and leadership you'd expect from a seasoned veteran, not a rookie. Yet, despite his efforts, the Browns' offense was completely stagnant and ineffective, and a huge reason for that was the continued glaring failures of Jerry Jeudy. Let me paint you a picture of what Shedeur was up against in this game. He was facing the San Francisco 49ers, who boast one of the most terrifying and dominant defensive lines in the entire NFL. They were breathing down his neck on practically every single play. There were multiple situations where his offensive line completely broke down, leaving him totally exposed in the pocket, a sitting duck. Any logical observer would have expected him to panic, to make a crucial mistake, to fold under that immense pressure. And do you know what Shedeur did instead? He stood tall in that collapsing pocket and delivered the football with incredible accuracy. He displayed the kind of courage and precision under fire that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. But here's the heartbreaking part: none of it mattered, because his receivers, and Jerry Jeudy in particular, were simply not doing their jobs. This is absolutely crucial, so let me give you a couple of very specific, undeniable examples. On the Browns' very first offensive series of the game, Shedeur made a perfect read of the defense. He instantly recognized a soft spot in the coverage, an open patch of grass right in front of Jerry Jeudy. He delivered the football with perfect timing, putting it right into that gap exactly where Jeudy should have been to make an easy catch. But what did Jeudy do? He loafed it. He got lazy on his route. Instead of accelerating into that open space to secure the football, he decelerated, he slowed down, and what should have been a simple completion to get the offense rolling fell harmlessly to the turf. That is not on Shedeur. That has absolutely nothing to do with chemistry or timing issues. That is Jerry Jeudy failing to execute a basic fundamental of his position. A professional receiver not running their route at full speed to the proper depth is an elementary mistake, something they're taught from day one to ensure the ball and the receiver arrive at the same spot at the same time. And we're not talking about some complex route adjustment here. This was a basic throw into an open zone that Jeudy completely botched because of a lack of effort. But believe me, it gets so much worse. Later in that same game, Shedeur made an absolutely beautiful deep throw to Jerry Jeudy. He was scrambling to his right, masterfully buying time and drawing defenders towards him, which created a one-on-one opportunity down the field. He spotted Jeudy streaking deep and unleashed a gorgeous pass that hit him perfectly in stride, putting him in an ideal position to walk into the end zone for a touchdown. The throw itself was a thing of beauty, the exact kind of high-level pass that makes NFL scouts and analysts fall in love with a quarterback's raw talent. And what did Jerry Jeudy do with this perfectly placed ball? He dropped it. Just dropped it. A momentary lapse in concentration, a failure of focus, and 6 points vanished into thin air. I want you to really think about the devastating impact that has on Shedeur Sanders' development and his stats. He is making NFL-caliber throws that should be resulting in huge plays and touchdowns, but his number one receiver keeps letting them slip through his fingers. How is Shedeur supposed to build confidence in his receivers when this keeps happening over and over again? How can he possibly trust that his teammates are going to make the plays for him when he gives them the opportunity? The simple answer is, he can't. And that is an incredibly damaging situation for a rookie quarterback trying to establish himself in this unforgiving league. So, after this series of blatant game-altering mistakes that were clearly his own fault, what does Jeudy do? He gets on the sideline and starts screaming at Shedeur Sanders. He actually has the audacity to try and blame the quarterback for his own shortcomings. He creates a public spectacle right there in front of the cameras and his teammates that not only makes both players look bad, but also injects pure poison into the locker room. It is genuinely hard to fathom how a professional athlete could possess such a profound lack of self-awareness, such an inability to accept responsibility, and such an eagerness to shift the blame onto someone else when the game film makes it painfully obvious who is truly at fault. And this is where Shedeur Sanders displayed a level of maturity and leadership that is simply astounding. After the game, he had every right to throw Jeudy directly under the bus. He could have gone to the media and detailed every single one of Jeudy's blunders, making him look as foolish as he deserved to look. But Shedeur took a completely different path. He spoke about the team needing to gel and work together. He talked about the importance of getting comfortable with each other in every type of situation. He emphasized that building a potent offense takes time and that it's not something that will happen overnight, like a microwave meal. Shedeur stated, "As players and as teammates, we have to be able to gel with each other and be comfortable with each other in every situation. That takes time. This team is not going to be a microwave thing." That is an incredibly insightful perspective from a rookie. He acknowledges the existence of chemistry issues, but he refuses to point a single finger. He extends the benefit of the doubt to his teammates, even when they have done nothing to earn it. He is prioritizing the unity of the locker room over his own personal stats and reputation. That, my friends, is the definition of a true leader. But make no mistake, Shedeur was also visibly frustrated, and he had every right to be. He mentioned that the team lacked confidence, that the execution on plays wasn't good enough, and that the offense lacked stability. "It's about getting the guys together and being more confident when we're getting slow," he said, before adding, "I didn't do a good job of it today, getting everyone together when things aren't going well." Just look at what he did there. When discussing the team's collective failures, he even shouldered some of the blame himself for not rallying the troops effectively. He didn't say Jeudy dropped critical passes or my receivers aren't running their routes correctly. No. As the leader of the offense, he took ownership of the entire unit's struggles. It is precisely this sense of responsibility, this selflessness, and this leadership that has caused Myles Garrett and the entire Browns locker room to rally so strongly around Shedeur Sanders. They see a young quarterback who is trying to do everything the right way, making the throws, showing incredible toughness, and accepting accountability even when it's not his to bear. And in stark contrast, they see Jeudy doing the exact opposite, making crucial mistakes and then blaming everyone else. The coaching decisions in this game also demand serious scrutiny, because head coach Kevin Stefanski is repeatedly putting Shedeur Sanders in unwinnable situations. At a critical moment in the game, the Browns had an opportunity to score down in the red zone. Shedeur had been moving the ball effectively, making plays with both his arm and his legs, and proving he could navigate the condensed spaces of the red zone. So what did Stefanski do? He took Shedeur completely out of the play design and handed the ball off to running back Jerome Ford, who was running into the teeth of a 49ers defense that was absolutely dominating the line of scrimmage. It was obvious to everyone watching that Ford was struggling mightily against the sheer physicality of the San Francisco front. He was getting zero push at the line of scrimmage. He wasn't breaking any tackles, he was going nowhere. Yet Stefanski chose in a must-score situation to take the ball out of his quarterback's hands and give it to a running back who was being completely and utterly stuffed. It was a decision that anyone with a working pair of eyes could see was destined to fail catastrophically, and it predictably cost the Browns points they desperately needed. These are precisely the kinds of baffling coaching decisions that make it incredibly difficult to fairly evaluate Shedeur Sanders. He is playing well, he's making the throws, and he's demonstrating leadership, but his own coaches are failing to put him in positions to succeed. He's being held back by conservative play calling, questionable personnel decisions, and a system that seems afraid to trust him to make plays, even after he has repeatedly shown that he can. And then when the offense inevitably struggles, the narrative unfairly shifts to the quarterback instead of focusing on the multitude of systemic failures that are happening all around him. After the game, Kevin Stefanski was asked directly if Shedeur Sanders would remain the starting quarterback for the next game. Stefanski's initial response was quite telling. Despite the fact that this should have been the easiest question in the world to answer, given how well Shedeur played under the circumstances, the coach waffled. He claimed he'd have to review the film, that Shedeur was battling just like everyone else, and that there were plays he's sure Shedeur would want back. It was a classic non-committal coach-speak answer that said absolutely nothing of substance. It was only when he was pressed again and asked directly if Shedeur will start next week that he finally gave a clear answer. That one-word response is significant because it shows that, at the very least, the Browns are somewhat committed to Shedeur Sanders as their quarterback moving forward. It's a tacit admission that Shedeur has done more than enough to hold on to his starting role, even with the chaos surrounding him from receivers who aren't helping him to coaches who are making questionable decisions. But the very fact that it required so much prodding to get a straight answer reveals that Stefanski isn't fully committed to building this offense around Shedeur in the way he absolutely should be. The contrast between how Myles Garrett and Kevin Stefanski handled this situation is stark, and it speaks volumes. Garrett came out swinging, offering his unequivocal support for Shedeur Sanders and making it abundantly clear where he and the team stood. He didn't hesitate. He stated plainly that Jeudy's behavior was unacceptable. He drew a clear line in the sand and told the entire world which side of that line the locker room was on. That is leadership. That is protecting your teammate. That is how you build a culture where young players can thrive. Stefanski, on the other hand, has been wishy-washy, non-committal, and frustratingly vague about his level of support for Shedeur. He refuses to come out and declare that Shedeur is the guy moving forward. He refuses to truly unleash him by opening up the playbook. And he refuses to hold veterans like Jeudy accountable when they are so obviously the root of the problem. He's trying to play it safe, to not ruffle any feathers and to avoid making any bold statement. But in doing so, he is failing to provide his rookie quarterback with the clear direction and unwavering support that he so desperately needs. Look, the Browns' loss to the 49ers was ugly. There is no sugarcoating it. A 26-8 final score is a beatdown by any measure, but Browns fans need to cling to the massive silver lining that was buried within that defeat. Shedeur Sanders proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he belongs in this league. He made throws under pressure that most rookie quarterbacks simply cannot make. He displayed a level of pocket presence and football IQ that is years beyond his experience level. He showed a mental toughness that cannot be coached, and he handled adversity with a degree of maturity and professionalism that many seasoned veterans lack. Shedeur Sanders is not the problem in Cleveland. Everything around Shedeur Sanders is the problem. The receivers who can't catch the ball or won't run their routes with effort. The coaches who refuse to put him in a position to succeed or design an offense that plays to his strengths. The offensive line that can't consistently protect him. The conservative play calling that shackles his ability to create big plays. All of those things are fixable, but it's going to require the organization to make significant, bold changes, not just minor tweaks around the edges. Jeudy's behavior throughout all of this has been nothing short of disgraceful, and Myles Garrett publicly calling him out is hopefully the wake-up call that Jeudy so desperately needs. However, given what we've seen from Jeudy this season, his history of struggling to handle criticism or take accountability and his consistent pattern of underperforming while displaying a poor attitude, it's incredibly difficult to believe he's suddenly going to have a character transformation. This is more than likely just who Jerry Jeudy is, a physically gifted player who consistently fails to live up to his potential because he's always looking for excuses and pointing fingers instead of looking in the mirror and doing the hard work required to be great. The Cleveland Browns now face a very simple choice as they move forward. Are they going to build their franchise around Shedeur Sanders and give him the support system he needs to succeed, or are they going to continue with this dysfunctional status quo, which coddles underperforming veterans and stifles the growth of a promising rookie quarterback? Myles Garrett has made his opinion perfectly clear. The locker room has sent its message loud and clear. They are on Team Shedeur. Now it's time for the front office and the coaching staff to make that same unwavering commitment. This is the fundamental truth that everyone in Cleveland needs to grasp. Finding a true franchise quarterback is incredibly rare. They are the single most difficult asset to acquire in all of professional sports. So when you have a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders who possesses the talent, the toughness, the leadership, and all the other intangible qualities that he has demonstrated, you do everything in your power to nurture his growth and development. You don't saddle him with receivers who drop his perfect passes and then have the nerve to blame him for their own mistakes. You don't call plays that hamstring his ability to win. You don't waffle on whether or not he's your starter moving forward. You commit to him. You build around him. You provide him with the tools, the protection, and the system he needs to flourish. And if players like Jerry Jeudy don't want to be a part of that program, if they continue to cause disruption and point fingers, then you get rid of them regardless of how much money they're making or how talented they are on paper. When you're trying to build a winning culture, attitude and accountability will always trump raw talent. Myles Garrett understands this. The Browns locker room understands this. The question is, do Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, and Jimmy Haslam understand it too? Shedeur Sanders, if they don't screw this up, represents the future of this franchise. Jerry Jeudy represents a problem that needs to be solved, not managed. The path forward is crystal clear. The only remaining question is whether the Browns will finally have the courage to take it. So now I have to ask you all, do you think Myles Garrett was right to publicly call out Jerry Jeudy for his actions? Should the Browns be looking to trade or even release Jeudy before he poisons the locker room any further? Is Shedeur Sanders doing enough to make you believe he's a legitimate franchise quarterback in the making? And most importantly, do you think Kevin Stefanski will finally commit to building this offense around Shedeur, or is he going to continue to play it safe and waste everyone's time? I want to hear all of your thoughts down in the comments below, because this is the conversation that every single Browns fan needs to be having right now. If you believe Myles Garrett is right to have Shedeur Sanders, if you believe Jerry Jeudy needs to be held accountable for his failures instead of being allowed to blame others, and if you want to see the Browns finally commit to their young quarterback and give him a real chance to succeed, then do me a favor and smash that like button right now. We are going to be covering every single development in this unfolding drama, so make sure you hit subscribe and turn on those notifications. Trust me when I tell you the next couple of weeks in Cleveland are going to define the direction of this franchise for years to come. This is a pivotal moment in the team's history, and we will be right here to break down every single twist and turn as it happens.